Hi there, my name's Andy Young and I'm one of the automotive lecturers down at Unitech in Auckland, New Zealand, and welcome to my Andy Mechanic YouTube channel. And in this video I'm going to quickly show you how to correctly install a new spark plug to the engine. Very simple, although there is a couple of specifications that should be met. One is spark plug gap and the other is of course the tightening torque, plus a few other helpful tips here and there along the way. So let's head over to the vehicle, and the Viking belongs to the, oh there we go, look, a Rewa Surf Club, that's better. And it's in for a major service and brake overhaul and that kind of thing, and there's going to be a flurry of new videos hitting the channel all about this particular vehicle, which should complement some of the previous videos that I've done on a different Yamaha Viking. Okay, so let's go and head across and locate where the spark plug is and get it removed. Okay, so HT lead is here off the ignition coil, and that clips onto your spark plug. And this is a single cylinder engine, so there's only one spark plug to worry about. Now, when you're removing the spark plug HT lead, it's really important you don't just pull on the lead itself. You must pull on the plug, otherwise you could pull this HT lead out of the plug, and of course, or maybe even just dislodge it slightly, and that could cause some real ignition problems, lots of misfiring, and this area here would then get really hot too, so a bit of a problem. So we'll just pull that out. There we go, get rid of that, and hey presto, one spark plug. Okay, put that on there. And again, spark plugs are often neglected and left in vehicles for way too long. They're pretty cheap. You should just put a new one in at every major service. Okay, this is the old spark plug. Now, they don't like to be dropped. Doesn't matter for this one because it's going to get a new one put in anyway. But if you look at the actual spark plug itself on the actual electrode, this bit here, that's going to tell you a lot about how this engine's been running, whether it's been running rich, lean, and lots of other things like burning oil and stuff. So I'll put a chart on this video to give you an idea of how spark plug condition can be used to diagnose faults on an engine. Right, let's head over to the bench and we'll grab the new spark plug, and the first thing we need to do is set the gap. That's the gap between the electrode and the core. That's that little tiny gap there, the one that the spark has to jump. Right, so old spark plug out, new spark plug going in. Now, NGK is the OE equipment for these vehicles. Pretty much all Yamahas, well, I think every Yamaha I've ever worked on has used NGK spark plugs as their original equipment because they are awesome. And no, I'm not sponsored by NGK, although if they want to throw me a few spark plugs this way, it's not going to happen, is it? Right. Specifications, the spark plug gap. We need to make sure, double check that that little tiny gap there is the right gap. Now it should be between 0.8 and 0.9 millimeters. Now NGK now do produce, and have done for a long time, spark plugs that come out of the box with the correct gap. So let's check, shall we? What have we got here? I'm going to use some big feeler gauges. There's 0.813, that's near enough 0.8. It isn't as accurate as valve clearance is. Right, 0.8 goes in. That's too loose, so it's definitely bigger than 0.8. See, I'll see what else we've got in here. What have we got that's any bigger? Well, the biggest one we got is 0.89, which is that one there, look. You can see that or not. Right. And does that fit? Yeah, that's still way, in fact, I can even still see a gap. So that gap there is definitely too big. So we'll adjust it back. Now, the way I adjust them is, I do have a special tool actually, but it's more for, oh, if I could find it. Oh, that's gone. Okay, so the way I do it is on a vise, just very, very gently. Give it a little tweak. And basically, if we can get the 0.89 to be tight on there, then we're done. Oh wow, look at that. Sorted. Tightness test. Yes, sorted. Okay. That was pretty accurate, wasn't it? Done. Okay, because too big electrode gap, the spark has to jump too far. As the gap increases, it needs to have a higher voltage to jump that gap, and that can cause all sorts of overloading on the ignition system. And that gap, well, the spark doesn't want to jump the gap, so it's going to try and find an easier route to ground, and that might be through a damp HT lead, through a poor connection, and so on. So if you have the gap too big, there's a good chance your spark might leak down to ground, and you won't get a spark in the cylinder. If the gap is too small, then you're going to get a little tiny weak spark, and that probably won't be enough to ignite the air-fuel mixture under all conditions. And she's probably going to run really efficiently, use lots of fuel, engine's trying to work really hard, lots of unburnt fuel coming out the exhaust, all sorts of problems. So set your spark plug gap, don't just rely on what it says on the box, and you should be right. Now, before we put the spark plug back in, or the new spark plug, into the cylinder head, there's one more thing that we should do, and that's to put a little tiny bit of copper paste on the threads. And the reason for that is, in many years time, when somebody else services this vehicle, this spark plug will come out relatively easy and not be seized in. I had a Nissan Patrol straight 6 petrol 3 litre on the fleet. We have quite a few of them actually, and well, number 5 cylinder never got a new spark plug. Why? Because we couldn't get the old one out. It was so tight that we just daren't risk undoing it, because it would have either torn the threads or it could have snapped off in the head. It kept running on all 6 pots, but man, that spark plug looked really old. And if somebody had just put some copper paste on there and torqued the spark plug to the correct torque, we'd have never had any problems. Okay, so as you can see, a little tiny bit of copper paste is on there now on the threads. Don't need to put it all the way around, because when you wind it in, it's gonna spread around anyway, and we don't want too much. And you absolutely categorically do not want any on the exposed part of the spark plug that goes into the cylinder, or on the insulation. That's the white bit, the porcelain. Also, one more tip: if you drop one of these on the floor, put it in the bin, because it won't be any good after that. They don't like to be dropped. Okay, back to the vehicle. Now, when you're refitting the new spark plug, make sure you don't cross the threads. So just take your time, and always put it in finger tight like this, up to the washer. Don't use a ratchet until you got to the last, well, that's your torque wrench for the last little bit. There we go. Right, torque wrench time. Right, your torque setting for these spark plugs on this particular vehicle, on the Yamaha Viking, is 13 Newton meters. There we go, done. Now, don't be surprised that when you're fitting a new plug that it will turn, you know, maybe half a turn before it clicks, even when you feel quite a bit of resistance, because that's the crushable washer actually crushing on the spark plug. And then once it can't crush anymore, then it'll stop and it's your torque's correct. Okay, well, what's left? Well, all we've got to do now is put the HT lead, the plug cap, back on again. So I'll pop that down there. And you should hear a few little clicks. There we go. And that's it, done. That's how to install a brand new spark plug to your Yamaha Viking. So there you go, a really short, well, hopefully not too long, short video on fitting a new spark plug to your Yamaha Viking. Now, one thing I didn't give you, which is the actual specification for the spark plug, just in case you don't know. So it's an NGK, or the NGK number is CPR 7EA9. That's CPR 7EA9, and I paid $9.50 of my children's inheritance for that. But yeah, well worth the money, and of course, you know, it needs to be done, because pretty much everything that I do on these Yamahas is to Yamaha spec, which means it has to have an NGK spark plug. Quite simple. Okay, well, my name's Andy Young and I'm one of the automotive lecturers down at Unitec in Auckland. Thank you for watching another one of my Andy Mechanic YouTube videos. If you have any questions or comments, please do leave them down the bottom and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. If you'd like to subscribe to the channel, which would be great, just click on the subscribe button now and you'll receive infinite updates as and when new videos get uploaded, and that will happen forever. And there's no subscription fee, it's just press the button and it's yours for nothing. How cool is that? I do like YouTube, I think it's really good. Okay, well, that's about it. Thanks for watching. Cheers, over and out.